دعاء الافتتاح.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم إني أفتتح الثناء بحمدك، وأنت مسدد للصواب بمنك، وأيقنت أنك أنت أرحم الراحمين في موضع العفو والرحمة، وأشد المعاقبين في موضع النكال والنقمة، وأعظم المتجبرين في موضع الكبرياء والعظمة. اللهم أذنت لي في دعائك ومسألتك، فاسمع يا سميع مدحتي، وأجب يا رحيم دعوتي، وأقل يا غفور عثرتي. فكم يا إلهي من كربة قد فرجتها، وهموم قد كشفتها، وعثرة قد أقلتها، ورحمة قد نشرتها، وحلقة بلاء قد فككتها. الحمد لله الذي لم يتخذ صاحبة ولا ولدا، ولم يكن له شريك في الملك، ولم يكن له ولي من الذل، وكبره تكبيرا. الحمد لله بجميع محامده كلها، على جميع نعمه كلها. الحمد لله الذي لا مضاد له في ملكه، ولا منازع له في أمره. الحمد لله الذي لا شريك له في خلقه، ولا شبيه له في عظمته. الحمد لله الفاشي في الخلق أمره وحمده، الظاهر بالكرم مجده، الباسط بالجود يده، الذي لا تنقص خزائنه، ولا تزيده كثرة العطاء إلا جودا وكرما. إنه هو العزيز الوهاب. اللهم إني أسألك قليلا من كثير، مع حاجة بي إليه عظيمة، وغناك عنه قديم، وهو عندي كثير، وهو عليك سهل يسير. اللهم إن عفوك عن ذنبي، وتجاوزك عن خطيئتي، وصفحك عن ظلمي، وسترك على قبيح عملي، وحلمك عن كثير جرمي، عندما كان من خطئي وعمدي أطمعني في أن أسألك ما لا أستوجبه منك، الذي رزقتني من رحمتك، وأريتني من قدرتك، وعرفتني من إجابتك. فصرت أدعوك آمنا، وأسألك مستأنسا، لا خائفا ولا وجلا، مدلا عليك فيما قصدت فيه إليك. فإن أبطأ عني عتبت بجهلي عليك، ولعل الذي أبطأ عني هو خير لي لعلمك بعاقبة الأمور. فلم أر مولا كريما أصبر على عبد لئيم منك علي يا رب. إنك تدعوني فأولي عنك، وتتحبب إلي فأتبغض إليك، وتتودد إلي فلا أقبل منك، كأن لي التطول عليك، فلم يمنعك ذلك من الرحمة لي والإحسان إلي والتفضل علي بجودك وكرمك، فارحم عبدك الجاهل وجد عليه بفضل إحسانك، إنك جواد كريم. الحمد لله مالك الملك مجري الفلك مسخر الرياح فالق الإصباح ديان الدين رب العالمين. الحمد لله على حلمه بعد علمه، والحمد لله على عفوه بعد قدرته، والحمد لله على طول أناته في غضبه، وهو قادر على ما يريد. الحمد لله خالق الخلق باسط الرزق فالق الإصباح ذي الجلال والإكرام والفضل والإنعام، الذي بعد فلا يرى وقرب فشهد النجوى تبارك وتعالى. الحمد لله الذي ليس له منازع يعادله ولا شبيه يشاكله ولا ظهير يعاضده، قهر بعزته الأعزاء وتواضع لعظمته العظماء، فبلغ بقدرته ما يشاء. الحمد لله الذي يجيبني حين أنادي ويستر علي كل عورة وأنا أعصي، ويعظم النعمة علي فلا أجازي. فكم من موهبة هنيئة قد أعطاني، وعظيمة مخوفة قد كفاني، وبهجة مونقة قد أراني، فأثني عليه حامدا وأذكره مسبحا. الحمد لله الذي لا يهتك حجابه ولا يغلق بابه ولا يرد سائله ولا يخيب آمله. الحمد لله الذي يؤمن الخائفين وينجي الصالحين ويرفع المستضعفين ويضع المستكبرين ويهلك ملوكا ويستخلف آخرين. والحمد لله قاصم الجبارين مبير الظالمين مدرك الهاربين نكال الظالمين صريخ المستصرخين موضع حاجات الطالبين معتمد المؤمنين. الحمد لله الذي من خشيته ترعد السماء وسكانها وترجف الأرض وعمارها، وتموج البحار ومن يسبح في غمراتها. الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله. الحمد لله الذي يخلق ولم يخلق، ويرزق ولا يرزق، ويطعم ولا يطعم، ويميت الأحياء ويحيي الموتى وهو حي لا يموت، بيده الخير وهو على كل شيء قدير. اللهم صل على محمد عبدك ورسولك وأمينك وصفيك وحبيبك وخيرتك من خلقك، وحافظ سرك ومبلغ رسالاتك، أفضل وأحسن وأجمل وأكمل وأزكى وأنمى وأطيب وأطهر وأسنى وأكثر ما صليت وباركت وترحمت وتحننت وسلمت على أحد من عبادك وأنبيائك ورسلك وصفوتك وأهل الكرامة عليك من خلقك. اللهم وصل على علي أمير المؤمنين ووصي رسول رب العالمين، عبدك ووليك وأخي رسولك وحجتك على خلقك وآيتك الكبرى والنبأ العظيم. وصل على الصديقة الطاهرة فاطمة سيدة نساء العالمين. وصل على سبطي الرحمة وإمامي الهدى الحسن والحسين سيدي شباب أهل الجنة. وصل على أئمة المسلمين علي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي والخلف الهادي المهدي. حججك على عبادك وأمنائك في بلادك صلاة كثيرة دائمة. اللهم وصل على ولي أمرك القائم المؤمل والعدل المنتظر وحفه بملائكتك المقربين وأيده بروح القدس يا رب العالمين. اللهم اجعله الداعي إلى كتابك والقائم بدينك، استخلفه في الأرض كما استخلفت الذين من قبله. مكن له دينه الذي ارتضيته له، أبدله من بعد خوفه أمنا يعبدك لا يشرك بك شيئا. اللهم أعزه وأعزز به، وانصره وانتصر به، وانصره نصرا عزيزا، وافتح له فتحا يسيرا، واجعل له من لدنك سلطانا نصيرا. اللهم أظهر به دينك وسنة نبيك حتى لا يستخفي بشيء من الحق مخافة أحد من الخلق. اللهم إنا نرغب إليك في دولة كريمة تعز بها الإسلام وأهله، وتذل بها النفاق وأهله، وتجعلنا فيها من الدعاة إلى طاعتك والقادة إلى سبيلك، وترزقنا بها كرامة الدنيا والآخرة. اللهم ما عرفتنا من الحق فحملنا، وما قصرنا عنه فبلغنا. اللهم المم به شعثنا، واشعب به صدعنا، وارتق به فتقنا، وكثر به قلتنا، وأعزز به ذلتنا، وأغن به عائلنا، واقض به عن مغرمنا، واجبر به فقرنا، وسد به خلتنا، ويسر به عسرنا، وبيض به وجوهنا، وفك به أسرنا، وأنجح به طلبتنا، وأنجز به مواعيدنا، واستجب به دعوتنا، وأعطنا به سؤلنا، وبلغنا به من الدنيا والآخرة آمالنا، وأعطنا به فوق رغبتنا يا خير المسؤولين وأوسع المعطين. اشفي به صدورنا، وأذهب به غيظ قلوبنا، واهدنا به لما اختلف فيه من الحق بإذنك، إنك تهدي من تشاء إلى صراط مستقيم. وانصرنا به على عدوك وعدونا إله الحق آمين. اللهم إنا نشكو إليك فقد نبينا صلواتك عليه وآله، وغيبة ولينا، وكثرة عدونا، وقلة عددنا، وشدة الفتن بنا، وتظاهر الزمان علينا. فصل على محمد وآله، وأعنا على ذلك بفتح منك تعجله، وبضر تكشفه، ونصر تعزه، وسلطان حق تظهره، ورحمة منك تجللناها، وعافية منك تلبسناها، برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي لا يبلغ مدحته القائلون، ولا يحصي نعماءه العادون، ولا يؤدي حقه المجتحدون، الذي لا يدركه بعد الحمم ولا يناله غوص الفطن. ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين، حبيب قلوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا وشفيع ذنوبنا، سيدنا ومولانا أبي القاسم محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم، وأحلى بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين، لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين صاحب العصر والزمان، خليفة الرحمن إمام الإنس والجان، ولعن الله أعداهم أجمعين إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد، فقد قال الله وقوله الحق. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون. صدق الله العلي العظيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the arrival of the month of Ramadan, and I congratulate you all on the arrival of this beautiful month. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have so many du'as that Allah please make this month a revolutionary one for us. One that we elevate towards you, ascend towards you. We understand our deficiencies, we understand our triggers, we do some healing. And, I thought, to be quite frank with you, last year when we spent the month of Ramadan, in this virtual lockdown world, I thought, okay, this month will be the one and done, and inshallah, by the time next Ramadan rolls around, everything will be quote unquote back to normal. And here we are again, on the first of the month of Ramadan, and still in a virtual world. And I am, it's difficult, and based on that, I wanted to initially just lay down the right vision and hopefully the right approach in this month of Ramadan, given the fact that we are right now in a pandemic. It is such an honor for me to address the Sijni organization and the community out there in New York. As I mentioned in my trailer, it's my first time now addressing all of you, and it would have been so nice for me to visit New York, the city that never sleeps apparently, but we are in this virtual world, and all of you are stuck with me for 15 nights, and I'll say it that way. You're stuck with me for 15 nights. And I'm humbled. I'm humbled by the executive committee. I'm humbled by, Ali Bhai and anybody who had anything to do with, bringing me and allowing me the honor. It's really my honor now to be with all of you. It would have been so nice for us to break some bread and have a cup of tea and give each other kajurs and dates for opening the fast. But inshallah, one day, someday, I'll be in your presence. In the meantime, you have to put up with this face for the next 15 nights. Inshallah, may Allah give you sabr to deal with me, inshallah. As I mentioned in the trailer, I have a topic for the 15 nights. We'll look at the life and the lessons of Prophet Sulayman. And I'll talk about that, inshallah, from tomorrow night. But tonight, I just wanted to kind of set the tone for the month of Ramadan. And maybe the approach should be a little bit different. It's been a difficult year, guys, and it hasn't been easy. And I know that there's been silver linings, and I've been hearing about the strengthening of families and how I have more time for myself and a lot of self-care, Moulana, and, this pandemic is not all bad, and it's not all bad. To be able to turn inwards and to be able to kind of focus on those people that are the most important to you, and then, of course, to do some self-care, some self-healing. I've heard some amazing stories about how marriages have been saved and families have strengthened and individuals' imans have gone up, and all during this pandemic. At the same token, it's been a struggle, especially on the communal level. There are some days of the year, some seasons, and some months that simply are meant to be done as part of a community. What comes to mind, of course, is Muharram and Safar. We were able to, as a Shia nation now, spend Muharram and Safar in a virtual world. That wasn't easy. This is now, like I mentioned, our second month of Ramadan. We are doing it virtually. Again, a very communal season for us, right? My fondest of memories growing up, would be going to the mosque and the center every single night and having our Quran circles and then, having the speech and then opening our fast and sitting down with a cup of tea and dua fita. And unfortunately, it's not there in the community, but, the one thing that I remember last year in that very unique month of Ramadan was this was the first time ever, and, as a speaker, as a traveler, I don't think I've ever done the amal of the nights of Qadr with my family. We were in one room together, my wife and I and my kids, and it was never done. I mean, I'm always somewhere else in some other community, either leading the amal or, at least if it's in our center, I'm in the men's side. But anyways, khair. So, it hasn't been easy. And the dark side of it, the negative side of it is that, we continue to have mental health issues inside of our community. Anxiety, depression, and stress continue to grow. As much as there has been families that have grown together and strengthened and sort of gelled and harmonized together, there are also families that fell apart, unfortunately. Individuals who have social anxiety, individuals who need to get out and see people, they've had a massive struggle to deal with this lockdown, quote-unquote, quarantine isolation era. And then those individuals who rely really on the community, right? I think about my elders. I think about those people who, who would use the center as their anxiety medication, as their outlet for, once a week. I mention this all the time. I mean, you guys are in New York. You have some idea. You can relate somewhat. But our winters here in Toronto are quite harsh. And I remember those Thursday night programs where, the news would say, look, it's a weather advisory. Stay at home. Roads are horrible. It's icy. Visibility is not great. There's lots of snow on the road. If you don't have to leave the house, don't leave the house. And I thought for sure, okay, I'm going to the center now to give my class on Thursday nights, and I imagine there'll be 5, 6 people there, and that's it. And you walk in and you see, the hall is full, and the majority of them are my respected elders. Braving the cold and putting on their boots and their winter jacket and driving in that weather. And when you ask them, they say, look, Thursday nights, for example, I'm just giving an example. Thursday nights are it's our outlet. Without it, I don't know where we'd be. I remember on a Good Friday, a couple of years back, after the khutbah of Jummah, the hall was packed, right? It's a national holiday here in Toronto, at least, and everybody was there for Jummah. And the program lasted all but an hour. By the time we were done, our salat and the ziyarat and everything, but people must have sat for another 2 hours, just in circles, talking, laughing, discussing, connecting. All of that has been lost for the past year. So, it's been a difficult time. I say all this because I want us to approach the month of Ramadan as a month of healing, as a month of relief. Okay. The Holy Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad wa ajjil farajahum. In his last sermon on the month in the month of Sha'ban, where he prepares the ummah for the arrival of the month of Ramadan, he has a very beautiful way of describing the beauty of this month. And I'm just going to read it verbatim, just so nothing goes wrong here. He says, Ya ayyuhan nas. First of all, very, very interesting to note that he refers to, or the sermon is directed towards mankind. It doesn't say, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu. It does not talk about the people who are believers. No, meaning that this month of Ramadan is not just for us Muslims. It can be, it will be, it should be really a month of benefit for everybody. Nowadays, there's this craze. It's not a craze. I mean, it's medically proven, of intermittent fasting and IF, and people do the 16-8 route and the 24 route and the 8 and the 18-6 route, and those of you who are IFers, you know what I'm talking about. But so fasting, obviously, I mean, the physical benefits are there. It's medically proven. That doesn't need any sort of discussion. But just overall, a reset. A little bit of a pause is always good for us, right? He says, Ya ayyuhan nas innahu qad aqbala ilaykum shahrullah. Beautiful, right? That this month of Allah is ready for you. It's ready to be welcomed. The word he uses, aqbala, the qabala, qabul, istiqbal, maqbul, all these words are derived from qabala. Istiqbal, for example, is a word that's used in Farsi. It's used in Urdu as well. It's to welcome somebody, right? I mean, if I was to fly into New York, right? LaGuardia, let's say, for example, fly into LaGuardia or wherever, then there will be somebody from the community there to kind of, hopefully, I really hope, to pick me up and welcome me. And, they're doing what? Istiqbal of me, right? Welcome, Moulana, thank you so much for coming. Welcome to the Big Apple, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, I'm a big New York fan. I've been there a couple of times. I really enjoy the vibe of the city. The only thing that annoys me about the city, and this is where I might lose you guys, I'm not a big Knicks fan, right? I don't like the Knicks only because I'm a big Bulls fan. I'm a big Jordan fan in the 90s. Those of you who know basketball, you know basketball. So I'm a big Jordan guy. He's the GOAT. He's the best ever. And so I think about all those Patrick Ewings and Charles Oakleys and John Starks days. Those of you who know, you know. Those who don't know, I'm sorry. Just press, just say this guy's talking about sports. Great. So, I'm not a big Knicks fan. And I know it's a big Knicks city. But New York in general is beautiful. So anyways, so I'm there in the Big Apple. And Istiqbal is a two-way street, meaning that I have to land in New York and they have to arrive at the airport for there to be istiqbal. If I miss my flight, if my flight gets canceled and they're sitting there at the airport waiting and waiting and waiting for hours, that's not istiqbal. If I arrive at the airport and no one's there, they thought that I'm arriving tomorrow, let's say, for example, no one's there, that's also not istiqbal. Istiqbal is two ways. So here the Prophet saying, look, welcoming the month of Ramadan, this use of the word aqbala almost denotes the idea that it's a two-way street. The month is ready to be welcomed. The month is here. Are we ready now to welcome that month? Are we ready now to make it a two-way street? He says, إِلَيْكُمْ شَهْرَ اللَّهِ بِالْبَرَكَاتِ وَرَحْمَةِ وَمَغْفِرَةِ. Beautiful, right? There's barakat in this month. There's mercy in this month. There's forgiveness in this month. There's all sorts of, excess in this month. And then he says, later on in the khutbah, أَنْفَاسَكُمْ فِيهِ تَصْبِيحٌ وَنَوْمُكُمْ فِيهِ عِبَادَةٌ. Right? He says your breathing is tasbih of Allah in this month, meaning it's the glorification of Allah. Your sleep, your noam, your sleep, your neend, as they say in Urdu, is what? Is ibadah, is worship. Pretty good deal, right? Take that nice 2-hour nap in the middle of a fast, and you're in la la land, you're snoring, your mouth is open, and that is written down as worship. He says, وَعَمَلَكُمْ فِيهِ مَقْبُولًا وَدُعَاءَكُمْ فِيهِ. Your amal, your deeds are accepted, and your du'as are heard. Now the question is that, Moulana, my breathing is glorification, my sleep is ibadah. Does that mean that I'm breathing different now? I'm taking shorter breaths in my Ramadan? I'm like, no, man, you're not breathing different. Is my sleep different now? Do I sleep now on my left as opposed to my right? No, of course not, right? It's the same breathing as we do in every other month. It's the same sleep as we do in every other month. The difference is that we're different. And that's where I want all of you to enter this month of Ramadan completely different. This is not a month of checklists. It's not a hunger strike. It's not easy, I get it. Around 8 o'clock is iftar, it's not an easy fast. But the funny thing is, I find it to be, pretty interesting that those people who quote unquote may not be religious all year round, they fast in the month of Ramadan. Children who you're not able to get on the musalla and the janamaz 5 times a day are people that are dying to wake up for sahri and suhoor and just be part of the family at 3 o'clock in the morning. Even young ones. Mama, can I please fast tomorrow? Half fast. I won't have breakfast. Okay. The question is, why? I mean, number one, yeah, it's a challenge, right? They take it on as a challenge. It's communal, right? They see the entire family is fasting. I also want to fast as well. But there's a little bit of a something else there. And I just want to focus a little bit. I promise these discussions won't be more than half an hour, 35 minutes. It's difficult to fast as it is. It's hard enough to fast and then end up, end your day before iftar listening to this guy speak, right? So, we're already about halfway through into my discussion. Inshallah, give me about 15 minutes of your time and we'll go from there. This is a month where you discover yourself. We discover ourselves. We discover our abilities, our capabilities, our strength, our capacity. Think about what you're able to accomplish across one day in the month of Ramadan. Okay? Pre-pandemic now, when the center was open, I imagine a typical day would look like, those of you who work or go to school, you wake up for Sahri, and depending on how late Sahri is, and nowadays you're able to kind of wake up for Sahri and stay up for the day. If you, let's say, for example, pray Fajr, lie down for about an hour or so, get back up, that alone is difficult. right? And then you begin your day, right? Allah, if you go to work, let's say, for example, a typical 9 to 5, you get home by 5 or 6 p.m., you have another couple of hours until your iftar time comes. Maybe you read some Quran, maybe you do a little bit of that. You come home and then by 7:30 or so, you begin iftar prep. And then, Maghrib Isha, you have your iftar, you have your dua, and then by 11 or 12 o'clock, you're back in bed, back up at 4 or 5 o'clock for Sahdi. So half an hour before Fajr now, if I was to come to your house, the lights would be on, maybe some du'as recited, the smell of food being cooked. And in that 24 hours, where every other part of the year, all the other 11 months, everything that we talk about in terms of waking up before Fajr, let's say 15 minutes, reading the Quran every single day. There are many of you, mashallah, who have not just one, they have multiple juz's a day. There are people who finish 2 or 3 Qurans in the month of Ramadan. But let's leave those special people alone for a second, but at least we're able to get to half a juz, 1 juz, let's say, in the Quran, able to now spend our lunches, we're not eating, right? Our lunches now, in the car, at our desk, reading the Quran, let's say, for a lot of people, I've heard a lot of people like that. And all of a sudden, all of those things that were impossible, Moulana, I can't do it, I'm a 9 to 5er, I have 2 kids, blah, blah, blah. You're able now to somehow now, wake up before Fajr, go to school and go to work, come to the center in the evening, pre-pandemic, read some Quran, be home by 11, survive somehow for not just 1 day, not just 7 days, 30 days of this, 29, on maybe chunks of sleep, 4 hours here, an hour nap here, a half an hour lie down here, blah, 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 but you're able to do that. And that's basically what Allah wants. لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. The verse I read from Surah Baqarah is, Allah says, I've made fasting wajib upon you. كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الصِّيَامُ. I've made it wajib on you just like I've made it wajib upon those before you. Why? So you could be of the pious ones. This snapshot of a day that you're about to embark on. Think about, your thought pattern. Think about how conscious you are of the things that you say and do and look at. All this was meant to be a training ground, right? All of it was meant to be a preview, a trailer, let's say, of what you're actually able to achieve. Your breathing isn't different. Your sleep isn't different. You are different. You're in tune with God. For the first time all year long, while you're fasting, your physical body, the needs of your body succumb to, right, the elevation of your soul. Think about it. 3 o'clock in the afternoon when that peak hits, right? When you're thirsty, you're hungry, and there's nobody home, example I give every single year, nobody home now, and there's a fridge filled with last night's tabak. Okay? There's kebab rolls in there, and there's croissants in there, and there's those, there's mandazi, for example, and there's, oh man, whew, right? First fast is always hard, right? So, is anyone stopping you from going, opening the fridge, taking a bite, putting it, wrapping up exactly as it was before so nobody would know? No, there's nobody home. Nobody would see it. There's no cameras, hopefully, in your kitchen. Hopefully. That's weird. But you won't do it because your conscience tells you, I don't want to break God's commands. That's always been inside of you from day number 1. It's always been there. It's a matter of you discovering it. And the month of Ramadan is a month of discovering yourself. My last point I want to make in my last 10 minutes is that I want all of you to, I want myself as well, to look at this worship as an outlet. As an outlet. Imam Khomeini rahmatullah alayh in his book Adab al-Salat, the etiquettes of prayer, has a beautiful discussion on the etiquettes of time. Okay? I think like chapter 30 or 31 later on in the book, it's time, the etiquette of time. In there he says that, I want you to seize the opportunity to go towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, worship Him, pray to Him on time. He says, see that time as an outlet. See that time as healing. There's a lot of people who are suffering right now. A lot of people who are going through trauma right now. There's a lot of heavy burden in our community, right? A lot of quiet suffering from our women to our wives to our, to our sisters, to our daughters, to our youth, to our everybody. And everyone's looking for an outlet, right? Journaling is one I speak about on social media. Another one, for example, is that, a friend of yours, you go out for a coffee, for example. People, for example, read. People, for example, binge watch. They go to numbing devices. They eat their worries away. Whatever the case may be, it is a difficult thing to deal with. Imam Khomeini says, I want you to see salat as the outlet, as your counselor. I'll give you a simple example. It's my example. It's not in the book, it's my example. I want you to imagine that this person is, there's a person right now in solitary confinement. Okay? And 5 times a day, he's allowed to go out of his solitary confinement for 5 minutes. Go out in the yard, get some sun, get some wind, get some breeze, feel the air, look up to the clouds. 5 minutes, and go back into his cell. Now you would think that on every single day now, at a certain time now, he knows exactly when the prison guard's going to come and open my cell, so he can hear now the walking in the hall. He can see he can hear the jingling of keys, and he can really now he knows exactly. Now you would think for a moment that somebody who's in that solitary confinement would think for a moment, a minute, 2 minutes before even the door opens, he's ready. He's standing up. He's ready. Let's go. I can't wait to escape this prison for 5 minutes. Salat sometimes is that. A lot of us are confined in this prison. Our heart is heavy. We're distracted. We're hurting on the inside. Anxiety, stress, mental health. We have low self-confidence. We're triggered. We have social anxiety. We have low self-esteem. And then the time for salat hits. And it's that 5 minutes. How long does it take to recite one salat al-Zuhr? It's that 4 or 5 minutes on the musalla. That is my escape, right? That's when my jail cell opens, and I'm able to exit that jail cell, and for that 5 minutes, I can just forget about that. The breeze is in my hair. I can feel the sun on my head. I can breathe in. I can feel the wind against my face. I can breathe in the air. And it resets me to go back and now deal with whatever is waiting for me in the cell. I want this month of Ramadan to be that freedom for you. I want it to be the month of freedom for you, the month of healing for you. That only happens when we move away from the obligation of worship, the burden of worship, the rolling of the eyes of worship. And we see ourselves as drowning ourselves in God to be our life jacket, to be the jingling of the keys as the prison guard opens the cell. Now, I'm not saying that everyone is living a life of prison. No, but this world can really squeeze us and suck the life out of us. وَمَا هَذِهِ الْحَيَاةُ الدُّنْيَا إِلَّا لَحْوًا وَاللَّعَبْ, the Quran says. The life in this world is nothing but fuzuli, it's lahwi, it's play, it's sport. It's just like, it's not real. This world is used to be a bridge, as you know, a transitional phase into our actual existence. This is not meant to be settled in. Imam Rada alayhi salam says that this world is a bridge, and you don't build a home on a bridge. You don't. It's meant to pass over. Not going to stay on the bridge. But sometimes that's what happens to us. We get distracted. And sometimes the heaviness of this world, buries us. And we're looking for this and looking for that numbing device, and God forbid that drug and this and this and that. And meanwhile, God says, look, I've given you something. I've given you my worship. There's a beautiful couplet that Imam Khomeini includes in his chapter on timings and salat. It's from Rumi, right? It's from Mawlawi. It's from his Masnavi, and I just wanted to grab it from my phone before I make a mistake here. But it's very important that we understand this process, and I'll end with this, inshallah, with your permission. And he says that the soul is perfect, and perfect is its call. The chosen one said, relieve us, O Bilal. The chosen one has said, relieve us, O Bilal. So beautiful. So beautiful. Who was Bilal? Bilal was the mu'adhin of the Holy Prophet, right? The one who called the adhan. Relieve us, meaning the moment that Bilal's adhan would hit, there would be this moment of relief and release and calmness. It's the jingling of the keys. It's the opening of this of the prison cell. It's the exiting of the prison. It's the feeling of the wind against my hair. And that would be the moment of salat for the Holy Prophet. It would be a release, a relief for him. I want this month to be a month of healing for all of you. Don't see it as an obligation. Don't see it as a burden. Don't see it as something that I'm going to have to do, as some checklist. No. Know that you are at a different capacity now. Know that you have been preparing for this month for weeks now. Know that you are now entrenched in that month, but know that this month has the healing that you've been looking for. Some people have paid thousands of dollars in counseling fees. I'm not saying don't go to counseling. There are some people who have written pages and pages and pages in their journal. There are some people who have, spoken to their friends in hours and hours and hours. Lots of coffee, lots of binge watching, lots of calories later, and that feeling still is somewhat there, but it should be gone by now. Maybe let's try the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Maybe that one page of Quran that we recite, close it for a second, ponder what's being read. Maybe, before and after salat, if we have time now, we spend just 2 minutes for a second embracing that moment, embracing the fact that I'm on the ground now, on my knees now, facing the Bayt of Allah, Mecca, on a prayer mat, about to put my forehead on dirt, rub my nose in dirt. It's mustahab, right? In the process, however, it's almost as if I feel like the handcuffs come off. I'm able now to use my hands and be free from this world until I have to go back. So my sisters and my brothers, as a closing remark in my opening lecture here, inshallah I'll get to my content tomorrow night. I want all of you to heal. I want all of you to be able now to move towards Allah in this month with an empty heart. Easier said than done, I get it. Lighten yourself. Take a moment now. Every night we recite dua iftitah. There are some of you who have a beautiful custom in your house. Line by line, that dua can be revolutionary. Allow it to allow it to enter inside of your hearts. And be relieved of your burdens by this month. Don't allow this month to be another burden on you. It was never meant for that. It was meant for us to elevate beyond the everyday minute details of this world. Escape from the madness. Open up the jail cell. And kind of find ourselves, reconnect ourselves. In the process now, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, we become those who are pious. We ask you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to accept our qaleel efforts, inshaAllah, to pave the path for us to be different, to make this month of Ramadan revolutionary, mind, body, and soul, where we starve the body and we feed the soul. We ask you, Allah, please accept our amal, forgive our sins, and allow us to elevate towards you, towards this, in this month of Allah. Thank you very much. We'll see you tomorrow night, inshallah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.